Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll going to start this Sanhedrin daf ayin. We're going to begin on the very bottom of Samach Testament Bays. Probably should have done this in yesterday's daf, but we're in the second to last line, Ben Vulbas. Only time a Ben Sarmor has to be a boy, but not a girl. Tanya Rabbi Shimon Bedinhu Shnei Bas Relius Ben Sarmor. The truth is, the daughter should also be able to spend ceremonies on daf ayin. Shakol Mitzuvin Etzel Bavera El Gzer Sakosavhi Ben Vulbas. That even though Hakol Matzui Etzel Ba'avera, that says Rashi, Kashi Zayula B'Saveh B'Katnusav, she ends up doing the improper things we're going to see in this mission in a moment. She's eventually probably going to end up being Parshas Drachim, and she may end up being Oisik as a Esnan, engaged in harlotry. So her future is also bleak, but the Torah, it's Exercicosa. Says the next Mishnah, says Masisa, so when is this person going to be Chayev Misa, this Ben Sarmor, Mishiachel Tartimer Basar, when he eats, and the Gemara can explain what is the Tartimer of meat, Yishta Chatzi Lug Yayin, a certain measurement of wine, Hitalki, which is Italian wine, which is high level quality wine, but not beer. Rav Yossi Omer Mana Basar Lug Yayin, actually it's a double amount of meat, and not half a lug, but a full lug of wine. Let's say he was eating this amount, but he was together with a Sudas mitzvah. Even if, let's say, he stole it from his parents, or for that matter, ochel be'iber hachaydish, that since this wasn't caused. This is not going to cause him to continue to do Ra, so therefore this is going to also be a case where he will not be a Ben Sarmor. Now Meiser Sheni should be brought to Yerushalayim, but we're going to see also he's not a Ben Sarmor by eating that, or Ochel Neveil Setrefus, Shkotz of Ramasim, eating non-kosher, Ochel Tevel Meiser Rishon Shol Natan Trumasa, Meiser Sheni Vehekta Shol Padu, Shol Nifdu, all these cases not. Ochel Davar Shehu Mitzvah, Davar Shehu Aveira. Also, if he eats something which is partially a mitzvah and also an avera, so also in that situation will not be a Ben Sarmor. Achol kol ma'ich v'loi achol baser. Shasa kol ma'ashke v'loi shasa yayin. Eno nasa Ben Sarmor she'achol baser v'yishtu yayin. He's not going to be Ben Sarmor unless he eats meat and drinks wine. Shnemer zoy v'soive is a glutton and a guzzler. Don't be a guzzle of wine, or glutton consuming meat. So says the Gemara, so Amar Abzera Tartimar, what does that mean? So Zeh Enio Dema, what is that? Elmitayish Kafel Rav Yosi Beyayin Nimsa Kaifel Apa Basar. Since it's doubled, he doubles it by meat, he's going to by wine, he's going to double by meat, also Nimsa Tartimar Chatzimana. It must be a tartimer is a half a mana, because since Rabbi Yossi doubled everything, and he said it was a mana, must be that tartimer is half a mana. Rav Chanan bar Molda, Rav Huna enu chayev ad sheyikach bas b'zoy v'yoichel yayin b'zoy v'yishte. It's only that if he took meat at a good price and ate it, and wine at a good price. T'chsev zoylel v'soyvei. So we see that he stole money and bought the meat. He didn't just steal the meat itself. It has to be like raw meat or wine which is not completely diluted. They said, if you eat raw meat, you're not going to be Ben Sarmor. So I'm going to say you're Ben Sarmor by drinking undiluted wine. It's not true. It's the opposite. So Mavina Yain Chai, what does that mean? It means mazig v'lo mazig. It means it's partially diluted. Basar Chai, bashal bashal, partially cooked. Kibasar kiva de achli gandhi, just like meat that's put on coals in which ganavim eat. So after he's acting comparable to a ganav, that this is what a ganav does. They're constantly eating on the run, so they can't have a fully cooked meal. So that's how he's also preparing his food. So he's impersonating or wishing to emulate that of his models, his role models, in this way. Rabbi Yosef Matavayu Achal Basar Maliach. If you eat salt meat v'shasi yain magitai, or if you drink wine from a vat, which is not high quality, it's new. Enas ben saramayr tanan hasam. Erev Tisha B'Av. Let's say it's Friday, right? So, excuse me, it's Erev Tisha B'Av, was right before Tisha B'Av. V'yochel adam shnei tavshil. And person ought to eat 2 dishes for the sudas mafsekas. V'yochel basar shnei yain, can meat or wine. Latana avel is oichel hu basar maliach. You can give him salted meat. You could give salted meat. B'shas yain magitai. Basar maliach ad kama. So how much? When we say that it's salted meat, how salted is it? So Rav Chanina bar Kahana kozman shu kishlomim. As long as it's comparable to a shlomim. A shlomim, says Rashi, shnei yom v'layil echad. How long do you have to eat a karban shlomim? 2 days and a night. Adayin b'lachluchay soihu. It's still considered like moist. V'lo ikri maliach. So like maliach is if it's already older meat. That's beyond 2 days and a night. As long as it's sour. Says Rashi, shu noishech bigaroin. It kind of like irritates the throat. Machmas shu machmetz, because it is bitter. So, and the Rambam mentions bas maliach is the third day. The third day. Ayin the Ridvaz that the Gemara leaves. Fine. Vasanya yain taisis and b'misham gilui. When it comes to yain taisis, the sour wine, there's no din gilui. Even a steak wouldn't drink it. The kama to see sasoy shlosh yomim. It's 3 days since the press. Haso hachimai hasam mishum simchu. Maybe the whole notion is because of joy. Kolzman shehu kishlomim nami ispe simcha. As long as it's within that time frame of meat, it's still somewhat joyful. It's not so bad. Over here by Ben Samar, it's because of creating habits. It's left. If it's left over at all in salt, the person's not going to have the interest in doing it like this ever again. And wine only after 40 days. The whole reason for wine is only to comfort mourners and to give reward to the Rishayim. Shnemer tenu shecher oived. You give wine to the people who are lost. V'yayin l'mori nefesh, wine to the bitter. Omer v'yitzach ma'idech siv altera yayin ki yisadam. That you should not be involved in wine because it's red. Altera yayin shema'adim pneihem shorashayim b'yom hazeh. That do not drink wine which they get hana from their faces of the wicked people in this world. And they get embarrassed and become white in the world to come. So wine is red, but it's something in which the Rishayim like in this world and takes away from the Mom Haba. Rabbi Omer al tira yain ki yadam. Don't drink wine because it's red. Al tira yain she'ach risoy dam. Don't drink wine in which its end will be blood, which means basically that wine, which in itself can cause downfall, like drunk driving and other problems. Rav Kahana, Rami has a contradiction. Siv tirash v'krin tirosh. So zacha nasa rosh. If you're zoiche by drinking, you can be good. Or zacha nasa rosh, you can become poor. Rav Rami Siv yishmach v'krin yismach. So it says desolate. It's read desolate, but we read is that wine is yisamacha b'benesh. So zacha mesamchay. If you're zoich, the wine make you happy. Ulo zacha meshamamu. It could make a person empty. V'hainu diamarava chamra v'richani pitchen. That wine and good spices can make a person wise. It just depends how it's utilized. It's used properly, and it's fine. Fine. Oimer Rav Amar Brid Rav Shimon ben Abba Oimer Rav Chanina. What does the pasuk mean? It says Lami oi Lami avoy. Who is this to the? It is woe and there is sorrow. Lami madnim Lami shiach Lami pitzayim chinam. To who is their argument? Who is their talking to? There's wounds. Lami chachlilu senayim. To who is like redness of the eyes. L'machrim al yayin. This is someone who spends on wine boim lachar mimasech, in order to be able to produce and to get good wine. Fine. Kiyasa Rabdimi Yomer Amri Rava High Kra. This pasuk man darshi be man darshi mireshim aseifa madish aseifa mireshim madish. You can learn the pasuk from front and back, front to back, or back to front. Either way, darish. So maseifa mireshim madish. So darish oiver galile yud gimel vavin. Vayin, so there's like many woes. Never behind v'yachel. It says 13 woes. Never behind v'yachel noyach isha dama va. It keeps saying vav yud, which is ve woe, and this is with wine. V'yachel noyach isha dama. That Noach, after the flood, was the man of earth. V'yita Kerem, he planted a vineyard. V'yishtem in the ayin, he drank wine. V'yishaker, got drunk. V'yisko b'toich ahalo. V'yar chama v'kananas. Erev Ovim, so Cham saw him. V'yagid l'shnei achim b'chutz. He told his brothers, Shem and Yafes, v'yikach Shem and Yafes as a simla. They took a garment. V'yasimu al shechem shneim. They put on their shoulder. V'yelchu acharaynis. They went behind, so they didn't have to see his nakedness. V'yichasu as Erev Avihem, and they covered up his father. V'nehem v'goymer no. Vaye katz noyach. There's again vav yud. He woke up from his wine. The yedas asher also lo b'no katan. He know what his youngest son Cham had done to him. So it actually says vai 13 times. It's a woeful thing, a person who is engaged in wine. As Rashi says, actually the Rashi before that, it says royalius machrim al hayayin. Yud Gimel Vayin, Loshin Ve, Or Kanan L'Chashiv, that one is not mentioned. El Adiyeda Nigmar. Okay, so again, he noticed that his son had done something to him, which is Kanan, Cham. Fine. So Rav Shmuel Chadaimer Sarsu. Some say that he was castrated. Chad Oimer Rivo, that he sodomized his father. Mandi Oimer Sarsu Mitai Shekilko Ravi. He sodomized him because he didn't want him to have any more kids. So Mitai Shekilko Ravi Kol Ravi. Says Rashi, Shimonu Mulhoylid ben Ravi. He stopped having a fourth kid. Kol ben Ravi Shaloi Kushimitzum Putu Kanan. So he didn't want him to have any more kids. That's why he did this. So Mandi Amar Ravoi, he sodomized him. Gomer Vayar Ksiv Hachav Yar Chama V'Kanan. As Yervasav, you saw the name of his father. Ksiv Hasam V'Yar Oisa Shechem ben Chamor V'Gomer, which is regarding to Dinah, in which she was violated by Shechem. Fine. So these are a couple of things that Cham did. The question, the Margolius Hayam asked that L'Chayra he should be Chayiv Misa for having done that. Why didn't Noach sentence his son Cham to death? Okay. I can understand the fact that he was sodomized. That's the reason why the fourth child was cursed, which was again Canaan. Elamandi Ravu Maishno Ravi Nilte Behedya. Why the fourth? So Ayin Taisus, it says the Gemara is not asking curse Cham, but rather curse his other grandchildren. So Havaha Havoy. So then why was he Ravoy? Why did he do this? In other words, he's saying that Taki he did both. He not only sodomized him, but he also castrated him. So the question is, and Rabbi Zweig, my Rosh Hashiva, says that when you sodomize a person, it's shaykh that you can actually cause a man to not be shaykh to be able to have tashmish, because you've basically humiliated him and destroyed him so much that could have taken place. V'yachal noyach isha adama, so he's considered to be isha adama. It's a famous word by Rav Shimon Schwab that he tried to be like Adam Harishon Kadam Achet of not wearing clothing, being naked, and isha adama. Fine, and the connection of wine by Eitz Hadas, which some say it's wine, as we're going to see. V'yachal noyach isha adama. V'yitakarim, he planted a vineyard. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rav Ukmi, Amar some say Amar Ukva, Amar Rav Zaka, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Noyach, Noyach lo hayolcha lima ma'adam Marishain shagaram loy ella yayin. That we find that Adam Harishon's downfall was with wine, and he should have learned from him. Command Yomer Oisa Elon she'oichel mimino Adam Harishon gefen hoya. That it was actually a grapevine. The Eitz Hadas people think it was an apple. No one here in this Gemara is going to say it's an apple, but some say it was taki grapes, because wine can cause downfall, cause sin, which is the original sin. Therefore, maybe that's what it was. This Tanya. As we continue on in Beis, it was actually from a grapevine. Nothing else brings trouble to the world, to a man. It was actually wheat. The Eitz Hadas. She'ein hatinuk yodei karo abba v'imei does not say father mother ad sheyitum tam dagan, so he can actually eat something, and that's why it's called Eitz Hadas. So it means you have to have a certain level of das. From the Chemi Omer te'eno hayu is actually a fig. Shebed davar shekilkulo, the thing which was the downfall, boy niskanu, that will be his remedy. Shenemar of Yisbru aleha te'ena, that he made garments to cover his nakedness from a fig tree. Midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, says Rashi, be'izmol shehu ma'akeboy hu marapa, that the very same instrument that you're hit is how you're healed. Nes b'toich nes, that's like a miracle within a miracle. Fine. And we find this also in Parshas Chukas with the Nachash Nachaishes. Okay. All right. But niskanu. Taisa says again, Parashat Kuntrins, Midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Izmo Shehu Makeh Boy Marapa Nes Matak Nes Kamo V'Yos Eish B'Tzion V'Aniya Yechomes Eish V'Ein Inyan Zel L'Zeh Klal Elohenim Moshel Ben Melech. You have a son of a king. Shekikulo Im Achas Mishpacha Yisav. He made a mistake. He wants to Shama Hamelech. When the king hears about it, Tardu is upset. V'Haitzi Chutz L'Pater, and he goes outside of his palace. The Hayim Maser Al Psachim Shel Shivcha Yisav. He starts going to people's homes. V'Lo Hayim Mekabel Yisav. No one accepts him. The Oisa Shekilkulai Imoi. Only the girl herself. So Paschaloi Dolaseh, she opens the door, V'Kablason accepts him. Kach b'shasha eichel adam mepriya Elon, when he ate from the tree, Tardu v'hoitziu b'chutz Gan Eden. He was removed out of Gan Eden. V'haya maso kol Elon. So he went to all the trees. V'lohaya mekabel noiso mahayu oimrimo. They didn't want to be mekabel him. So Amar Brachia Hai gan v'deganav daita debari hainu hodich fine. So Taisus says, like, hello, Mr. Tree, can I borrow your leaves? No, what does this mean? Due to sin, the only appropriate garment to wear is figs, since that is what caused him to realize his nakedness or his shortcomings. Okay, so it's very fascinating, the long vart about when there's destruction in the world, like the flood, how do you respond to destruction? So according to Noah, he just couldn't handle it, so he wanted to get intoxicated. So that's a way of removing yourself. Another option is you say, I don't want to have any more kids. Why would I bring kids into this world? Which is like being castrated. And sodomized has to do with, I'm just going to go bust her tivus. Okay, fine. And then the pasuk says, Divri Lamoyel Melech. This is referring to Shlomo HaMelech. Maso Asher Yisratu, that the mother who chastised him and gave him Yistru Imo, and his mother chastised him and gave him Musa. That his mother tied him up to a pillar. The Amru Loi, and she said to him, Ma bari, why my son? Uma bar bitni, why my child who is of my womb? Uma bar nidari. So again, this is Shlomo HaMelech. And Rashi says, Shahaisa roya shehu bal hana. He saw that he was a bal hana. Umar b'sudasai, and he used to eat a lot of meals, and therefore moichichasai. So she rebuked him. Ma bari hakol yoidim. Everyone knows shavicha, that your father David. This is again talking to Shlomo HaMelech. Your father Yerishmaim Havi. He was a great fearing man. Achshav yomer imu garmuloi. Now they're going to say that I caused you to do chet. Ma bar bitni kol hanashim shel beis avicha. All the women kivan shimis abrois. Once they got pregnant, shuv enu rois pnei melch. They never saw the king again. V'ani dechakti v'nechnasti. I'm coming in kadei shehei li ben mezurz malubin, so that my child should be healthy. Ma bar nidari kol nashim shel beis avicha haya naidris. They made vows, Yehili ben Hagoin Lamalchus. They should have a son who's fit to be a king. Yanida Darti Marti Yehili ben Zariz. They should have a healthy child, Umamali Bataira. Should be filled with Tyra, Bahagan Levius, and worthy for prophecy. Al Mulachim Lumuel, El Mulachim Shasu Yayin, Al Mulachim Amrulai Malachai, El Mulachim Shasaisim Yayin. What is this by you with near the kings that all they do is drink wine? They get drunk. They say, why do I need this God? Al Shechar. The secrets Al Shechar Mish Shekoil Razi Oilam Gulimlo. To Hashem, when all the hidden matters are revealed to him, Yishti Yayin Vishtaki, you drink wine and become intoxicated. Shekel Riznai Oilam, the one who is connected to the great people. Mashkim lo pischai, they go to your gate, yishti yain v'shtak, and get drunk. That he agreed to his mother that he should not be such a bal taiva. As it says, ki bar noichi meish, that I am more foolish than a man. Lo binas adam li, and I don't have bina. Ki bar noichi meish v'noich, that I'm more foolish than even Noach, who is an ish. So I'm no better than Noach. Binas adam li ze adam arishon, that I was no better than Adam Arishon. Okay, let's look at question 1. Ma hatam de ben Saira Moira enu chayev at shikach bas v'yayin bezoil. What was the reason? So he says to be yoiker will shchiach le. If it's expensive, it's not going to be common to him, and therefore he's not going to be able to get that money, and he's not going to be mamshich. And then we said chiyuv the ben Saira Moira chay o mozoig. So he said it's mozoig v'lo mozoig. It's like partially diluted. Okay, fine. Question TB20 is a hard one actually. Man nikra basar maliach le'inyan she'ein nasa ben saramaru le'inyan shemuter be'erev Tisha B'Av. What is considered to be mei maliach? So over here it says, this is TB20. So it says ochel basar maliach. If it's basar maliach, then he's not a ben Sarah Myra. So he said, and also in Tisha B'Av, you're not allowed to eat meat, but it says, but basar maliach, so basar maliach is ad kama. Okay, this is the question. So I'm thinking about kolzman shehu kishlomim, kishlomim, 2 days and a night, or it says by meat, kolzman kishlomim nami ismei simon so basically, it's like the din of Shlom. So I wrote Mem Yoim 40 days. Ben Sarah Marim Shuzet Toli Im Mamshich. But that's really with wine. This question is with meat, not wine. The Erev Tisha B'Av Megito Kishlomim Shnei Yom V'Layel Echad Achein Gimel Yomim Shu Taises. Okay, this Mem Yom Ben Sarah Myra. The Mem Yoim. It's yayin ad mem. It's yayin ad mem yoim. So I'm not sure if that's correct. I think it's just the answer is kishlomim ber tisha b'av migitu kishlomim shtei yom v'layl echad. Okay, it's TB20. It's a little bit of a confusion question. All right, let's keep on going. Ochel b'chaburis mitzvah. So if he's in chaburis mitzvah, he's not a ben sarmar. Amar Bavo enu chayiv ad sheyochel b'chabura shekulo sarikin. The only time is dafka if everyone is empty, like the Yad Ramah says, like an Elon Sarak, a tree that has no paytas. But on Tanan ochel b'chaburis mitzvah enu nas ben charamayra. Taima the mitzvah. Maybe it's only because you're doing a mitzvah. Halav mitzvah, if you're just eating a stam meal, after the lav kol sarikin, you would still be ben sarmara. So hakamash when after the kol sarikin kivan the mitzvah ka'osik ul mamshich. It's coming to tell you that if you're oisik in the mitzvah, even if we're dealing with everyone being sarikin, everyone empty, but since they're involved in the mitzvah, you're not going to be mamshich to continue to engage in this behavior. Okay. Question 2. Question 2 says like this. Ma tam de ochel studus mitzvah or ochel davar avera or enas ben sarmayra, because it has to do with being mamshich. Davar mitzvah inu mamshich. Davar avera minachsiv. Okay, we'll see the second one in a second. We didn't get to that. Okay. Ochel ba'avera ba'ibra chaydesh l'meimer de basar v'yayin maskoi. You tell me that they eat meat and wine by ibra chaydesh l'sanya ein oilin la'elo b'pas dagan b'kitnis b'vad. There's some bread and some beans. They don't have meat and wine. Even though we ate something different, since he's doing a mitzvah, he's not going to be mamshich. The Ibra Chodesh has to have 10 people. Again, all we have is bread and beans. Or Iburai. We only do this at the or Iburai. So the Yad Ramah says that, what does that refer to? It was at night after the 29th day. It functioned to decide if the month will be a moli or a chaser. So sometimes a chodesh needed to be 30 days, even if, let's say, it's not connected to Edom. So that's why they had this meal, and they wanted to have at least 10 people as some type of seaboard. In Oinla B'yoyim, El B'lai was at night. I thought it was during the day. So Rabbi to his sons, Achripu v'olu achripu puku. Get up early before dark and go. Get up early and go. Kihechi delishmu b'chu inshi, so that people will hear before. So says Rashi. Or yoim iburo motzi shloishim lohidia shaburu. As we said, it's in order that people should know that it's the 30th day. Achrifu puku b'boiker al te'achru later. Don't delay. Shaharoi eschem yardin bashkama. The people will see that you got up early. Mavin sheyishu sham kol laila. They'll see that you were there all night. Misfarnes hadavar, people will know about. If you don't get up early, savar shashav olav ein maven hadavar. So you have to act in a different way so that people will chap that you were there for this purpose. Okay, fine. So again, it's an interesting question. Why Dagan and Kitnius, the Yad Ramah asks this question. Maybe serve some sushi. Like, what's the whole Indian of bread and Kitnius? I in the Yad Ramah. Okay, fine. Achal Meiser Sheni B'Shalayim. Also, we say that he's not Ben Sarmayra. Givan dechi yorechei ka'achol lo mamshach. Since he's doing it in the normal way, he's not going to be a mamshach. He's not going to end up continuing doing this. Also, he's not a ben sarmayra if he eats treif. Omer Rava, ochel basar oif if he eats chicken in unas ben sarmayra. Avon tanan ochel neveils for treif shkotzim v'ramasim in unas ben sarmayra. It's only shkotzim. However, ha tahirin, if it's a pure kosher bird, not ben saramayra. So what's the din by a bird? So kitananami masis lahashlim. It just means to combine. That's all it's referring to. So the question, of course, is why lahashlim, to combine with meat, will make him a ben saramayra. It's like maybe you should say like a mamarashach, that if it's not good, if it doesn't work. Again, obviously, chicken maybe is not mamshich as much as like a steak, but the idea is, so then why would it combine? So Rashi says, "Shafil achol tartimer basar chatzar kazayis mibehema tahara v'shlima tartimer babasar oifos tameim potter." If you were mashlim it to non-kosher birds, no. B'shem de'enu shemei b'koilo shel makoim t'kvas b'taharis machayiv. So if you're hashlim for kosher, then it is, but if it's treif, then not, because it's only the enu shemei b'koilenu. You didn't listen to your parents, not you didn't listen to Hashem. Achol davar shu mitzvah davar aveira davar mitzvah tanchumi avelim. If you partook in the meal, even though it's only a takana de rabbanu be'alma, nonetheless it's considered to be a mitzvah. Davar aveira taina sibur, if you ate during a fast. V'taima ma'ayam akra enu shemei b'koilenu b'loy b'koilel shel makoim, which is basically what we said before. So again, now so we can answer question 2. So ma tam oichel b'sudas mitzvah, not, because it's not mamshich. Why the oichel davar aver enu nas ben saramayra is because it has to be he doesn't listen to his parents. It doesn't even listen to Hashem. Does nothing. Okay, let's get to the next Mishnah. You're only ben saramayra when you eat meat and drink wine. So that includes even eating these dates from this particular place. There actually says, even though it makes you drunk, you're still not going to be chayiv if you eat these, even if it makes you a little bit tipsy, because you're not mamshich. Even if we're dealing with honey and milk, nonetheless, you're still not a ben saramayra. You enter into the base of mikdash, even though you're all tipsy. It says you're chayiv. Here it says you're chayiv. Why are you chayiv? It says Rashi mishum v'yayin b'shecher al teisht in Parsha Shmini. So therefore, you are chayiv in that case, but nonetheless, so this, it's actually achol v'lo yachol basar le'asui deveilot ki'ilois, which is mashma that you are chayiv, actually, right? That's what it sounds like. But Rashi says, even though it does get you drunk, and therefore if you would go into the base of mikdash that way, you'd be chayiv, but since it's not mamshech, you'll be potter as a ben saramayra. Enonas ben saramayra ad shiyochel basar v'yishti yayin tanaban oichel kol ma'yechel v'lo basar. You ate everything except meat. Shasa kol mashke v'lo shasa yam. You didn't drink wine. Enonas ben saramayra ad shiyochel basar v'yishti yayin. It's bull. Shnemer zol sovei yavli she'ein rayo davar zechol davar. This is like basically our Mishnah. Shnemer al tihi b'soyle yayin. Don't be a guzzler of wine, but soyle basar lamoy, and someone who indulges in meat, a glutton. The Omer, furthermore, it says Kisavim v'zol yarish. Someone who indulges will become yarish, impoverished. The Kriyim talbish numa, and will tear the garments of those who are in cases of drowsiness. Omer Rav Zera kol hayashim b'beis medrash. Anyone who sleeps in the base of medrash, torasa nasas loy kriyim kiroyim. Their Torah becomes all ripped up to shreds. Shenemar Kriyim talbish numa. And the Rambam discusses this a little bit more, but this is just another drasha regarding this. TB21 we didn't do yet. TA19. Hi'im alidei achilas basar oif tahar nasa ben sayr amayra. So we said, if all you're doing is just eating basar oif stam, im achol tartimar basar oif enu nasa. Im achol tartimar basar behema chaser kazayis hishlo mashir basar oif nasa. So it's only when it's non-kosher chicken, but if it's kosher meat together with kosher chicken lahashlim, then you would become a ben saramayra. Adkan.